Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at building a contact form in HTML5. We took a look at contact forms, or at least the form input element in last week's video, and we covered different kinds of input elements. And now we're going to actually put that together in a little contact form. So first thing we need to do is include the form element, which just consists of an opening and closing form tag. And in between that, we're going to introduce a new element called the label element. And the label element looks like this. And as you can guess by the name, the label element is just a label for your input element. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's say we have a contact form that wants to take in a first and last name. Well, what we do is we create a label element for the first name, like so. And then what we do is create the actual input element where they can type it into the text box. We did that last week and it looks like this. Oops. Looks like input type. We set the type to text because they're going to be typing in their name. And so we have it right here. They can now type in their first name in that input element. We also want to include the name attribute and set it equal to first name. The name attribute and the for attribute should match. Now this isn't really important for us because we're not working with PHP, but it is good to have. That's how it's going to be targeted in PHP. So it's good to get into the habit of including the name attribute. Well, we've added the first name, so we want to add the last name and also an area for the user to write a message. We could also include another input element to get the email. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bump this down, and I'm actually going to just copy everything here. And I'm going to paste it. Now if you look at the preview, these two names are side by side. We don't want that, so we're just going to add a break element right after the first input element. And we talked about this specific element in the last video, and as you can see, it bumps it down. Now we just need to change some text here. So I'm going to change this to last name, and this is going to turn into last, as will that. There we go. Now let's add one more text input so we can get the email. So this is going to be for email. And we're going to change some text here like so. And we're also going to include another BR after that second last one we did. So they should all be in this format. And that's the code. And by the way, this code will be in the description below if you guys get lost or you just need help with it or you want to see how it's done. It'll be there for you. So now the last thing we want to do is we just want to include a text area. So the text area element is another new one for us, but it's basically just an area for people to write a detailed message. So we can assign it the column attribute, and we're just going to give it 30 columns, and we also assign it a row attribute, a rows attribute, and we're going to give it, I don't know, 20 rows. How's that? No, that's way too big. We'll do 10. That's good. And we're also going to close it off here, and we're going to add a BR element after the email input element because we want the text area below the email, not beside it. And so you have it. That is a good start. Let's also just talk about the placeholder here. You can add this placeholder attribute which will have some text in this text area. So enter a message here. And as you can see, it has the enter a message here. We can also add some headers to this too. So let's say we want H1 contact form. There we go, we got the contact form there. And I'll capitalize that. And we can add a message here telling people to enter, or we could just say send us an email. And I'm going to actually put that in H4. Not that it really matters, but again, this is just an example kind of showing you guys how to build a very basic contact form. I want to include one more thing, which is a submit button. So after we type in these fields, we can click a submit button so the data gets submitted to a server. And that's really easy. That's a really easy input element to add. All we need to do is type in the input tag, and the type is going to be equal to submit. And now, as we can see, there's a submit button. Of course, the submit button is side by side because that's the default formatting for this browser, but we're going to add a BR element again so it appears below, like so. So now we can click submit. Well, we can't do anything with it because we're not using PHP or any other language. This is just an HTML form, so if we submit it, nothing's going to happen, obviously. But on a real website, you'd have other languages, and you'd be on a server, and you could submit the data to the server, and it would go from there. But that is how you lay it out. And then to style this, and if you're following this Road to Web Development series, what you should do is you should save this, because when we start working with CSS, we're going to actually style this exact contact form. So save this, and you can come back to it later and add some CSS to it. And that'll actually make it look a lot more appealing. We can line everything up and make it look beautiful. But that's the video. That's how you make a very basic contact form. You can also add the field set element here. You don't have to add this, but you can if you want to. It just kind of throws a line around the form. It kind of doesn't. I don't really like it, to be honest with you, but you can use that too if you want. Play around with it, have some fun with it, and we'll come back and we'll edit this with CSS when we start learning that. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. If this video helped you, definitely leave a comment and a like, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.